Hi there, Release Fire here. So I recently did a video on how to make a simple on-off switch here in Dreams on the PS4, but I wanted to take that to the next level and show you how to make a light switch that stays on or turns off as you choose, and the starting point for that is located in this thing, which is the sun and the sky. And when you open up the settings, you can see you can change the sun brightness all the way down, but you can see it's still light in there. So if you go on over to the second tab and again take this brightness all the way down, what you'll start with is a completely dark level, and this will allow you to then put in lights that can turn on and off again. Obviously you can tweak the levels, it doesn't have to be completely dark, but this will at least give you a chance to see exactly how it works. So then open up the menu, and from gadgets what you're looking for is cameras and lighting and this light feature, and then you just want to place it in a place that looks down on this platform. And what that will do is give me a light that I can then switch on and off when I've constructed my switch. So again, you can dig into the details and change the brightness of that. You can go into the details of that by pressing on L1 and square to put them in manually if you want to, if you don't want to use the slider. But then once you've got that to a level that you think it's going to light it up but not actually make it too bright so that it's flooded, what you've got there is a functional kind of way of adding complexity to levels by throwing in light switches that turn on and off at various levels. And then the next step I want to do is to duplicate that light and move it over to the second platform. So L1 and R2 will duplicate or clone it, and then it's just a case of holding R2 and dragging it over to put it in a place that looks down on the second platform, and then I'm going to construct my switch. Now I'm just going to do it by throwing in an hexagonal block. You can see I did this when I still had lights on, but then once you've got the block in place, you want to go into Logic and put in a microchip, and this microchip is where I'm going to store all of the information regarding that switch. Now there are a few different ways you can animate a switch to move it up and down, but before you get into that, what you need to do is put in a sensor around the switch that actually triggers an activity, and that's done using a trigger zone, which you can see here. Place that into the microchip anywhere you want really, but top left hand corner is probably a good place. And then next up, what you want to do is dig into the detail of that by pressing on L1 and square while you're hovering over it, and then that will give you the opportunity to grab it and move it on over to where the switch is. And then you want to place it on top of it and reduce its size by pressing down on the directional buttons until you've got it so that it's just big enough to be triggered for your character when they jump onto the switch. Next up, you want to ensure that that whole process is permanent and stays on, and it doesn't just go on when you're standing on the switch and coming off it. So you want to put in a counter, which you can find in Logic and Outputs, drop it on in, and then you want to connect it up. So connect detected over to count increase, and that will pass through a signal that completes the circuit anytime it's pressed just once. Then you want to clone that counter and drop it in underneath using L1 and R2 and connect up the trigger to the increase count on the second counter. Then you want counter full to counter reset on the first one and counter full to counter reset on the second one, and that will trigger the switch with the first press and then reset it with the second press, so long as you change the count up to 2 on the second counter, as you can see I'm doing on the screen right now. Once you've done that, it's simply a case of animating the button itself, and like I said earlier, there's a couple of ways to animate a button, and I've gone for the action recorder button press, but you can use a timeline and a keyframe to be able to construct that. And if you're not sure how that whole process works, you can check that out in the video above on how to make a moving platform. So essentially with the action recorder, it will record everything that you do during the time that it's recording. Now the record button is on as soon as you place it in there, and it stops as soon as you press stop recording. So during that time, it will record any actions you make to the block. In this case, moving it down and back up again. Once you've completed that, you then need to connect up the trigger to the animation. You can then make the animation a little bit less crazy by lowering the block for its start point, and you want to set it to just once when you dig into the details. and you can also increase the speed just to make it a little bit faster so it's a snappier button press. And then getting back to night view, you just want to connect up counter full on the first counter over on up to the light that you've put over the second of the two platforms, and this will be your switch that goes on and off. And then it's time to test it in play mode. So just take control of your character, jump on the switch, and you can see the light comes on and the switch goes down and up again. And you can repeat that to turn it on and off to allow your character to be able to see the second platform and head on over to the exit. And that is how to make a light switch that stays on and turns off here in Dreams PS4. Hopefully the video helps you out. If it does, drop me a like below. You can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already with the links on the left hand side, and hit that bell button if you want to get notifications for all of my videos as they come out. You can see the rest of my guide for Dreams with the links on the right hand side. Leave any comments and I will catch you next time.